I would now like to welcome a woman who has made countless efforts to advocate for the rights of Assyrians and other minorities in Iraq, Syria, and other areas of the Middle East. She has appeared on a number of television shows and is a regular correspondent on Fox News with their host, Sean Hannity. She has traveled all the way from Detroit to be here with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming Ms. NAHREN ANWEYA.
Shalom Alochon. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters in Chicago, who have invited me here for this amazing, beautiful anniversary of a bittersweet moment for all of our people then, 100 years ago, and today that we are still experiencing today. I want to start off by quoting a governor of the Ottoman Turks, what he said about Armenians and Assyrians. We have made a clean sweep of the Armenians and the Assyrians. Those were the words of the governor in Ottoman Turkey, a leader in the nation of the Ottomans. Oh, Turkey, how dare you deny a fact? I have a question for the global leaders. If you have a criminal who's committed a genocide against your family, your brothers and sisters, your mothers, your daughters, your sons, and your grandparents, and you have all of the evidence presented to you by the victims, why join them in their silence of remaining quiet and accepting it? Because that would make us as guilty as they are. Imagine one day a terrorist organization storming into your cities and taking all of your babies and slamming them against the walls, stabbing pregnant women in the abdomen, beheaded your fathers, crucified your brothers, starved hundreds of thousands of children who were hostages, and purged millions of innocent families onto their death route. This may seem like a horror film for the ones who didn't know about the details of the crimes, but this was a horrendous genocide our families faced 100 years ago, which annihilated 1 out of 5 Assyrians that totaled a heart-wrenching 750,000 slaughtered innocent Assyrian Christians. Along with the Assyrians, 1.5 million Armenians, 950,000 Greeks, and also the forgotten ones, the 400,000 Yazidis, perished with us. They robbed us of all of our ancestral wealth and stole hundreds of Assyrian villages. Grandfathers. One of my great-grandfathers was so proud to be an Assyrian Christian that he wore a large gold cross, and one day they came for him and his ancestral land. Numerous Kurdish men held him hostage, tied him to a cross, and crucified him with the other invaders. They chased my other great-grandfather and stabbed him to death, while my pregnant great-grandmother was saved and escaped by miracle. Along the way of their escape, they saw the worst crimes being committed against the Assyrians. They witnessed the unthinkable, the unbelievable, things that people today can never imagine. They witnessed thousands of women being raped, killed right there on the roads in front of everyone. They witnessed the Turks swinging babies by their heads and their legs just so they can dismember them without wasting a bullet. They saw thousands of fathers who were forcefully tied together as the soldiers were executing as many as possible without wasting any of their ammunition sometimes. The victims who were held captive for longer periods of times were not only starved, but brutally tortured in the worst ways you can think of. The Turks would do some very nasty crimes. They would hold one piece of bread up high and tease them in front of hundreds of barely surviving Assyrians because of the extermination strategy of starvation they were implementing. Many of their rib cages were visible, and they appeared to be a skeletal system as they watched each other's families die a slow death. Can you imagine, as an American, watching your family suffer a slow death right there in front of you and nobody was helping you? What did our families do to deserve this horrific torture that took place 100 years ago and is continuing today? The attempted extermination committed by Turkey is not acceptable, and it was definitely not acceptable then. We as the good people throughout the world must hold Turkey responsible, like Germany confessed to the 6 million Jewish people they slaughtered in the Holocaust. Why is Turkey not being held responsible like the Nazis were for their crimes? How is Turkey different than the Nazis? Why has Turkey still not accepted the crimes they committed against the 4 million innocent people? When can we give the innocent souls a right to rest in peace like they deserve from our God? Not only is Turkey responsible for the 750,000 Assyrian Christian civilians then, but the continuous and constant drastic drop in our population that has brought us to a near extinction today, as historians are saying globally. Please, do not just remember Assyrians in your history books. Remember us today. They are doing this to us today again. Our people are purged off of their ancestral lands and are scattered all over the world, and our homelands of occupied Assyria, they're referred to as Iraq, are continuously invaded since you crippled us 100 years ago. And now, what are we dealing with? Another form of the Young Turks named ISIS, who are committing another horrendous genocide that our people in Iraq and Syria are trying to cry out with all of their voice through all of us. And the administration, the current administration of our country, is failing to recognize, and they are dying until today. Turkey, Assyrians have roamed the earth longer than you've even existed. And we were one of the first people to believe in the Almighty God. We cradled civilization and introduced the basics of all technology to the world and even to you. We ask one thing, Turkey. We ask you to not just confess to the victims' descendants that are here and that are all over the world, but to our Almighty one God, and He's above all of us, that of the greatest mistake you have made of committing a genocide against our families. If you haven't realized it, we are labeled as God's right-hand people, and our Assyrian identity and Christian ancient faith will never die within Assyrians' children. God will bring Assyrians back on their indigenous lands like He promised us in the Bible through good people who exist today, who can hear and understand our case. It's best, Turkey, that you confess now, and we can all move on, like Germany did, as a responsible country, unlike your selfish denial for 100 years. We ask the international leaders and nations to please support us in our mission of demanding an internationally protected safe haven in our lands of the Nineveh Plains to be armed. Arm the Assyrians. And I will continue to say it 1,000,000 times. It is time to arm the Assyrians. As international leaders, those who stand silent during a genocide are as guilty as the killers. We have to make a change. How much longer do our people need to cry out? How many rallies do we need? How many mothers do we need for them to call us and tell us their daughters, their children are dying in their arms in these camps they've displaced us in? We are refugees in our own country. Assyria and Assyrians are almost 7,000 years old. How old is Iraq? What is Syria? Syria comes from Assyria. They took the A and the S out. Please, do not deny our identity. Do not deny our faith. And do not deny our ancestral lands that we deserve. Thank you all. God bless you all. God bless Assyrians, Armenians, Greeks, Yazidis, and all people that suffer in the hands of these savages. And God bless the United States of America. Chayo Ator.